Our first round playoff previews continue here on the Edgework channel as part of the Hammer Betting Network. And now looking at the Edmonton Oilers LA Kings first round matchup. Can Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl propel the Oilers beyond the LA Kings? Can the Kings' new acquisition of Jonas Korpisalo push them up and be enough of a matchup against the Oilers to shut them down? Is this the year that the Oilers get over the hump and get back to the Stanley Cup final? Breaking it all down, including series prices and best bets, here on the Edgework YouTube channel and more. All right, welcome back to Edgework here on the Hammer Betting Network. We're getting into our playoff previews here. So another one for today. We got the Edmonton Oilers, LA Kings. Looking at the series price on this one, taking the odds from Pinnacle, a main source for our series odds that we're going to get prices from this postseason. We're looking at the Edmonton Oilers minus 240, a 70.6% implied probability to win the series against the LA Kings. Joined today to break this one down, Alex Moretto, So Money Sports, and Michael Leboff from the Action Network doing NHL, soccer, and darts. Would be interested to hear about darts betting, but for today, we're going to get into the LA Kings, Edmonton Oilers. So Money, going to you first here. Looking at this series, it's been a big thing all year long. If you follow So Money on Twitter at So Money Sports, or you followed along the Edgework show, you're going to know that So Money is very big on the Edmonton Oilers so far this year. We are all Oilers, as he has said, but you look at this series price, minus 240. Where do you kind of come in on this one? Is this about where you make the number on this series for the Oilers against the Kings? Is it maybe a little bit long? Were you surprised when you saw the number come out at first? What were your initial thoughts on this series price?
My initial thoughts were I thought it was fair. I wouldn't make it too much more. Oilers should be the heavy favorite, and so I thought that came out fair, especially with when we have some when we have some roster concerns with the Kings as well. So if they still got some guys out, Oilers should be heavy favorite. I was fair here.
Okay, and I mean, Michael, if you go to Edmonton, LA, you saw them go 7 games last year. You're looking at this one. Is it going to be a little bit different than what we saw last year? The Oilers obviously have significantly improved in their play over the last little while. They've been probably the most dominant team in the NHL for about the last 2 months. Now, the LA Kings were playing pretty well, especially since the trade deadline, but haven't really been able to keep up to the same pace as the Oilers. Now, looking at the series prices, again, for you, if you're looking to make a price on this one, is this about where you'd slot in here?
Yeah, this is kind of what I was expecting out of this price. I wouldn't be surprised to see if Edmonton takes some money still, especially with the injury stuff with Fiala. And I always tell people this in the playoffs with injuries. Even if he plays game 1, he's banged up, and that means he's also got to play game 2 and game 3 and game 4, and then so on and so forth. So it's not just you're not just buying the Kings for game 1, but you're also betting on him being healthy and productive for an entire series and beyond. So that's really concerning for me, considering you got to keep up with the Oilers. Like, the Oilers aren't a team where you need to beat them. Like, you need to, or outlast them. The dust settles. Like, the Oilers are a team you actually have to outscore to win. And without Fiala, I'm a little concerned. With the Kings, a couple weeks ago, my tone for this, and I think a lot of people would say so too, for the series would be a little different, but with the way things have kind of shaken out, I think Edmonton actually gets a decent draw here.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this was a pretty anticipated first round matchup here. Alex, are you as excited about this first round matchup as maybe So Money is, looking at the way that the Oilers could match up here against the Kings and the price that we're getting on them?
Yeah, I thought maybe like some of the rec books opened a little bit short on the Oilers just based on what we've been seeing lately. And then, Pinnacle comes in at minus 240. I think that we'll see everyone sort of settle around there. And then I'm sure the Oilers will probably take money. I think there's like a lot of variance though in the series, right? Like the Oilers have been outstanding since getting Ekholm. I think that was like one of probably the best deadline acquisition. He immediately slots in and I think becomes their best defenseman. Depending on your thoughts on Darnell Nurse, I'm not super high on Nurse. I think that Ekholm is probably more valuable for them on the back end right now. And, but then it comes down to Korpisalo has been great since they got him at the deadline. Is he going to be able to kind of steal a few games for them? What are you going to get from Skinner? Skinner is obviously coming off a very good season, but also a very inconsistent season. And I think, he's the baseline isn't quite there on a night-to-night basis. So maybe he cost them a game or two. Like you look at the last 20 games, even half of them he posted a negative goal saved above expected. Half of them he was in the positive. So you kind of don't get that same sort of effort level, or not effort level, but same sort of performance from him night in, night out. So, I think there's a lot of variables here. Obviously, Edmonton they're absolutely rolling right now. It's going to be hard to stop them, especially if Fiala doesn't play. Now, Fiala's record in the playoff, his playoff stats have been really, really bad. He is definitely not a playoff player, as they say. Maybe this series is a little bit better for him than one against like the Blues last year, or Vegas the year before. Maybe he'll have a bit more space and something like a high scoring series. Is he going to be healthy? I don't know. But yeah, I think that I agree with so many and Michael here that it's a decent draw for the Oilers.
Now, how far, so money, would you play this price to? Is this kind of the cap of this, of just like a series price minus 240 here on the Oilers? Would you be willing to go further? I know Michael's saying it might go further. We might see more money come in on the Oilers. I think that's a very strong possibility. But like, how far would you get up to where you'd kind of put it at a cap and that's it?
So if you're asking me personally,
there is no limit.
well, the problem is that like I already have so much on the Oilers, so like I'm
Right.
a little bit hesitant to keep adding more right now at this point. I do agree with Michael that it should keep getting a little bit higher as the Oilers take more press in like the on like the preview shows and stuff the next couple of days. But where I have this number. I wouldn't go much higher, even though I do think that there's always that concern, right? Like, and I've always felt that like whenever I felt very confident going into a series, there's always something that maybe you didn't think about, something that like maybe it's the old Canucks thinking in me, right? That like something could go wrong. So like I feel very confident in the Oilers in this series, and that honestly, that just scares the hell out of me.
That's a little bit nightmare material there, that's for sure. Michael, what concerns might so many need to have when it comes to the Oilers going into this series? Obviously deserving to be big favorites. They have the two best players in the NHL running right now. You do get your goaltender kind of up and running over the last little while. He's been pretty good, but what concerns might so many be missing here going in with that handicapping?
Yeah, I guess I should let Alex talk about it more, but the one thing that would scare me is Philip Deneau a little bit. Like, can he wipe out McDavid for an entire series? Probably not, but can he like lower the ceiling a little bit, which I think is a big deal when you're playing a team like Los Angeles, who's been so good 5-on-5 for so long. Then maybe we can start having a conversation about the Oilers having some serious concerns, because if he mutes McDavid's production even a little bit, then it gets a little hairy here, and so money might have some sleepless nights. But I'm sure he's invested a little bit in the Islanders too, so they'll be sure to be able to make up for that Oilers loss. So don't worry about it. We got you, buddy. The other thing, like the obvious ones, are going to be Skinner, and if he has a bad game one, I actually kind of like betting Edmonton to. If I had to bet on Edmonton in any way in this series, it's Edmonton to win from behind, which I think you could get at 3-1. Because like let's say he comes out as a wreck in game one, just first playoff start in the spot. Like, it's tough. You never know. The Oilers go down 1-0. I think then you're talking about a coaching decision, which you hope to God, if you're an Oilers fan, Jay Woodcroft does not overreact to Skinner having a bad game one, and then put Jack Campbell in. But that's like another kind of secondary, like you're concerned about the goaltending, sure. But the underneath thing is, okay, if you force him into a goaltending decision, does he go with the guy who's been there before, even though he's only been to round one, Jack Campbell, or do you stick with Skinner if he's got a tough game one? So that'd be my concern. But I like so many. I'm pretty confident here. I think that the Oilers make, like, if you're into like series money line round robins or something, and you're going to put a couple underdogs in there, the Oilers could be a pretty decent anchor in that kind of bet.
See, but the problem now is that like you're voicing those concerns, right? So like you brought up you brought up Skinner, right? Well, they made it to the conference finals last year with Mike Smith, right?
Yeah.
So like, how much more does Skinner need to fall to get to where Mike Smith was last year, right?
He just needs to start playing the puck a lot more.
Yeah, right. So like, even even if Skinner falters, chances are he's not going to get to the Mike Smith level. And this team made the Cup final with the Western final with Mike Smith. If Dano or if the Kings structurally or whatever are able to shut down McDavid, well, now the Oilers have secondary scoring as well, right? You have guys like Kane, you have Draisaitl, right? Well, Draisaitl shouldn't be considered secondary, but he plays on the second line, right? You got guys like Klim Kostin and Nugent Hopkins, right? Like all these guys are performing, right? So I'm having a tough time here. Like even if things do go south, right? Like I do think, and the other thing too is that this team is able to win close games now. We're seeing them win 2-1 games. We're seeing them win the 3-2 game, right? So I don't know, man.
Also, as well as Korpisalo has been playing since they got him, he's no sure thing either.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
It's not like he's going to come in there and you're not going to be like, oh, well, I'm worried that he's going to steal a series like a Sorokin or a Shesterkin can do. You just don't have that same concern with the Korpisalo.
Well, we kind of touch on the biggest concern for Edmonton, and I think that's probably the way to look at it there, because we know what some of the biggest positives are, things that could kind of push them over the edge in any series that they come up with, and that's obviously going to be the guys like McDavid and Draisaitl and their ability to just say, all right, forget it, get on my back, let's go here. But looking at the LA Kings, what would be the biggest X factor for them to possibly win this series here? What is something that could change the tides and actually put them in a position to take advantage of this series and maybe just hold on to it and close out against the Oilers in the first round here?
I think that as confident as we could be in the Oilers, I think that it's still hockey. It's still playoff hockey. There's a lot of luck involved. We've seen teams just go just lose it offensively for whatever reason, right? If we don't know how teams react, what if the Oilers aren't getting puck luck, and as Michael mentioned, what if they lose game 1 and they go down 1-0, right? After all the momentum you've had going into the playoffs and reading all your press clippings, and you wake up one morning and you're down 1-0, right? How does that play into a team psyche, right? So those kind of things are very tough to quantify, and they do exist, but it's just hard to quantify that kind of thing. So it would be my concern, in all seriousness, with the Oilers would be that in the last couple of months here, they've never been in a position where they've kind of had to pull themselves up, right? And it can get really frustrating, especially when you're playing a team like the Kings, who can completely wear you down. And if the first couple of games aren't going your way, maybe you start deviating from your own game plan, right? We've seen those kind of things as well. The best team doesn't always win.
Right. All right. Let's get into some best bets here. Some things to look for in the series that might be opportunities for us to bet on. Now, obviously, it looks like we're kind of all on the Oilers here. It feels like we're probably in a position where everyone feels pretty comfortable with where the price is at on the Oilers, pretty deserving of them. But, Michael, I'm going to start with you. If you watched the series preview that we did for the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Toronto Maple Leafs, Michael threw out a pretty interesting bet on a goal scorer to lead this series at 35-1 for the Toronto Maple Leafs, Calle Yarncroke. So there are some interesting ways to play some of these series as these markets open up round by round, series by series. Michael, going with you first, if you were to look at a favorite bet in this series, even if it is the Oilers to win from behind, where would you go with this, and what price would you be comfortable playing it to?
Yeah, I think 3-1 is pretty good on that particular bet, and probably is my favorite kind of team bet of the series, because like Alex and so many and you, I'm pretty bullish on the Oilers here and think that the price looks about right. But in terms of those player props that I'll be looking for, McDavid's going to take up so much of the value at the top in goal scorer markets that someone secondary who plays with him, whether it's Zach Hyman, whether you want to go to the next line with Evander Kane, a bet on one of those guys to lead the series in scoring could be worth it, but it's so hard to picture someone else coming out ahead than one of either McDavid or Draisaitl. But that also means you're going to get some good odds. So for a little long shot sprinkle, it would be one of those guys. And then I like using them if you are building out a round robin or a series parlay. I like using them as kind of the big favorite to anchor it.
Right. Well, and I mean, Evander Kane last year during the playoffs had himself an absolute run, so it wasn't like he was way out of it in terms of the scoring. He was kind of right there with those top guys. So yeah, definitely an opportunity to look there. So money, favorite bet in this series? Are you looking at Oilers 4-0? What's the game plan here for your best bet?
I wouldn't go 4-0, but I think that I think 4-1, right? Like again, they went to 7 with Mike Smith, right? So I think 4-1 is where I'd be going there.
And what price would you be looking at for that? And what would you be comfortable playing it to?
So 4-1 is at plus 350. I think that just the probability here. I think plus 310 is where I would take the 4-1.
Okay, and Moretto, finally with you, the best bet in the series, favorite bet in the series, and what price?
Yeah, this is like probably one of my least favorite series to bet on. I do agree with Michael that I think that, if you're gonna like use the Oilers as a parlay piece, that's kind of nice. But there is some variance. Michael said like Oilers to win from behind. Hey, if they fall behind and maybe they don't turn things around, and we know that like what a nightmare Kopitar and Deneau can be to play against. There is maybe the path to Skinner not being great and costing them this series. There's a lot of variables still at play where, although I am still pretty bullish on the Oilers, I think maybe getting like a plus 340-ish on the Kings minus 1.5 games isn't a terrible look too, just to sort of play into that variance. So that would probably be one way that like I wouldn't hate to attack this, and probably something that I'll end up on. Don't expect it to win, but like I think there is a path to that happening.
Yeah, you can find me in a ditch if that happens.
Yeah.
We got you.
Yeah.
Promise.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing I'm concerned about here, Michael, is I know he's got some Islanders stuff there, but I know he also has some Leaf stuff. So I don't not comfortable enough saying, "Oh, we got you." Like I've told him, I don't know about that. So yeah, hopefully the Oilers pull through for you, and we don't have to fly out to BC pulling you out of ditches or cross country there. So money. Final thing we get to in this series. Interested your guys' thoughts on this? Just flat out predictions. Moretto, go to you first. You're obviously looking, okay, maybe minus 1.5 LA Kings in terms of betting, but just betting aside, series predictions, Oilers, Kings. What is your final prediction?
I'll say Oilers in 7. I think that the Kings end up making it a bit tougher on them than we expect, and they'll sort of cruise a little bit more after that. But I think this first round can get a little hairy for them.
So money.
Let's go Oilers in 5.
Okay, and Michael.
Yeah, I'll say Oilers in 6 in a comeback, maybe down 2-1 or so.
Okay, I'm going Oilers in 6 as well. I'm kind of on the same page. I think it'll be a little bit tighter, and then Oilers find a way to pull out at the end there. So that's kind of my same thought process. If anyone has any questions, comments, their own thoughts, what you feel about the bets or the conversation that took place here today in terms of the Oilers Kings series, please make sure to drop them in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think about what your best bet is, what your series prediction is. We're interested in hearing them all in the comments below as well. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video on your way out as well. As long as you enjoyed the content, please make sure to like this video, like all the series previews, as we will continue to have more and more coming out for each round and each series down the stretch through the 2023 playoffs. Thank you guys so much for tuning in here today. Michael, So Money, Alex, thank you for taking the time to do this. Very much appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you guys in some other series previews that we will be doing. But for everyone else out there, good luck on your bets. Enjoy the playoffs.